riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me, as always, co-host extraordinaire, Neil Hamburger to my Neil Young, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good.
Okay. Wow. Kind of caught me a little off guard there. Great. That's good. What album have we been listening to for the last week?
Well, we've been listening to more of a song rather than an album, unless I did the assignment wrong. What I have been listening to has been called the worst song of all time by multiple reviewers and magazines of note. This is Starship, the band Starships. We Built This City, released August 1st, 1985, less than a month after I myself was released. Which of us will have a worse impact on our collective culture? We will find out September 29th, 2023.
What happens then?
My becoming is officially complete.
And I don't want to spoil anything, but care to give us a preview of what you shall be becoming?
I believe it's going to be some sort of magnificent butterfly man dressed in cowboy accoutrement, possibly riding the Great Cow.
I am terrifically disappointed in myself for asking.
Oh, also there will be fields of dead before me.
Goes without saying in any good becoming. Timmy, becoming aside, dare I say, Fields of Dead aside.
Chrysalis. That's what's happening, I think.
This has gotten worse. Tim, do you hate this song?
I don't hate it yet, but I can almost assure you in about an hour I'm gonna hate it.
Difficult to disagree with.
I will say I have headphones in. I'm sitting across from you. We each have our microphone, and I've got my headphones in, and I will be listening to this on repeat for the next hour to hour and a half. I can still hear you. I can still respond to you, but I'm gonna be listening to Starship the whole time.
Okay, well, this is a new methodology. Can I ask what's inspired this?
I hate myself.
Okay, well, I'm not going to do your thing. Interesting. We'll check in with you, see how you're doing, and feel free to stop it at any moment.
I won't. Garrett, do you hate this song?
Yes, I do.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's rare that I'm willing to come out right at the start of things and say firmly, loudly, and proudly, I don't like this one bit.
Yeah.
Absolutely shocking turn of events for me personally, but we're going to get into that in just a moment. Before we do, I want to ask you, Tim, prior to this week, what is your experience with Starship and or We Built This City?
Well, I pretty much stay away from Starship based on reputation alone. I do love Jefferson Airplane. We'll get to that in a minute. With this song, I have very little experience. I've heard it on the radio. I have a memory of my sister singing this at me, although that might be one of those false memories I've been having more and more as a result of a recent propofalling. But the point is, I've heard this song. I've never really listened to it or put it on or sought it out. I don't like it. It's a bad song. What about you, Gary? I assume your childhood was just inundated with this nonsense.
What year did this come out?
1985. So you were applying to college.
It was 1.5. Yeah. So I have heard this song maybe. Now, Tim, you might not be the only one this week with surgically implanted or possibly anesthesia-induced false memories. I also thought, I know this song. I've heard this song. While I do vehemently sit in the anti-Starship camp, I've definitely heard We Built This City. Everyone's heard this song. We all know this song. We built it on rock and roll. I don't think I've ever heard this song.
Yeah, I know I've heard the chorus. I can say that for sure.
But I don't think anybody's really ever heard the latter third of the song because it was all new to me. And also I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. What a great pick this week, because I came in thinking I knew so much about it and I had this long storied history. I know every word of this song. Tim, what are we going to talk about?
Abraham Lincoln.
Mind. Don't you dare spoil it. It's the one shining beacon in this episode, and you will wait to get there.
That's fair.
All right, Timmy, that's your history. That's my history. Before we can talk about this atrocious song itself, and I don't know how you're going to do it this week, take us on a journey. Help us understand who is Starship and how did We Built This City come to be?
Well, Gary, I have written approximately 21 pages of notes for the history because the history of of Starship is long and complicated, and the actual interesting part of it happened 20 years before this song was recorded, a time I will start with. I will mostly skim through it, though, because there's just so much goddamn history here.
So much.
So I'm going to throw out every third page of my note. No, 2 out of every 3 pages of my notes I'm just going to randomly throw away, and I will begin reading at the beginning.
Love it.
This band began in the early 1960s when unsuccessful singer and folk group member Marty Balin heard the Beatles, the Byrds, and Simon & Garfunkel and decided, me too, I can do folk rock. He was hanging out in San Francisco, he was performing around the Bay Area, getting super high with people like David Crosby, future members of the Grateful Dead, and fellow UT attendee Janis Joplin. And the core members of what would become Jefferson Airplane began to join, including initial lady vocalist Signe Tolly Anderson. We'll call her Miss Anderson because I believe I mispronounced her first name. And guitarist Jorma Kaukonen, who was responsible for the name of the band. He said, I had this friend in Berkeley who came up with funny names for people. His name for me was Blind Thomas Jefferson Airplane. It's not any part of his name.
That's a lot nicer than the names that I would come up with for people in college.
When the guys were looking for band names and no one could come up with something, I remember saying, you want a silly band name? I got a silly band name for you. Terrible. Just terrible. Here's the thing. Don't do massive amounts of hallucinogens. Or if you're gonna do massive amounts of hallucinogens, do them. Do a lot of them. But leave, naming things, like naming bands or children, to the more sober moments. Or at the very least, reserve veto power for the sober moments.
Right. Or just, get your work done first, then do the piles of hallucinogens as Tim was recommending.
Absolutely. So the J-Plane picked up Jack Cassidy on guitar, and they got much better as a result because that guy's real good at music. They had a couple of significant concerts at events that were sometimes referred to as quote-unquote happenings in the Bay Area. Presumably, Plants murdered everyone at those, like in M. Night Shyamalan's second best film and Mark Wahlberg's fourth best film. Fourth best Mark Wahlberg film. Anyway, at one of these...
Not taking the bait. We're not going to talk about Mark Wahlberg. We're not going to do it. I'm not going to do the voice. This is way too long a history.
Let's do M. Night Shyamalan and Shyamalan.
No.
Okay, at another one of these happenings, another local band, The Great Society, opened for them, and they featured lead singer Grace Slick, who Jefferson Airplane would later steal. Now, Bill Graham became their manager, and he would later be the Fillmore owner. He was a concert promoter, etc. Interesting story in and of himself. He could be a solo cast, but they got immediately rejected from Columbia Records, but they did sign to RCA, and they released Jefferson Airplane Takes Off. Then their singer, Miss Anderson, had a kid and left, so they scooped up Grace, and at that point they really hit. In 1967, they released Surrealistic Pillow, which is an absolutely fantastic album. If you haven't heard it, go listen to that. It's the one with Somebody to Love and White Rabbit on it, but it's great from start to finish. Jerry Garcia secretly produced that album. He wasn't credited for it. I think he was the spiritual advisor on it because record labels
He was Jerry Garcia.
Weird rules, yeah. They also performed with Hendrix at the Monterey Pop Festival that year. Go watch that documentary. It is also great. And then they released another 5 albums between 1967 and 1972. They had a ton of success. They also played Woodstock and the less good Altamont Free concert that the Rolling Stones hired the Hells Angels for security for, and then they beat Jefferson Airplane's Marty Balin into unconsciousness, and also, of course, stabbed and killed Meredith Hunter right in front of the stage after he allegedly pulled a revolver. Maybe. That's all in the documentary Gimme Shelter, which is definitely also worth a watch.
Basically, most of this band's early history is well documented, and you can see it, and it's worth your time.
Yep, from like 1966 to 71, this band's really good, and they do good things, and they do interesting things. The history of rock and roll, you could almost say that if they're just isolated in San Francisco, they really built that city, Garrett. They did. At the time, Jefferson Airplane, also with like the Grateful Dead and such. But they were the only band to play all 3 major concerts or major festivals, Monterey, Woodstock, and Altamont. Grace Slick, though, apparently also liked drag racing and was almost killed in a car accident in 1971.
What?
Yeah. She was racing one of the other band members, and right near the Golden Gate Bridge, she got into a car wreck going like 120 miles an hour.
So fast and furious.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. The rest of the band was dissolving also due to drugs and some people not using drugs, and both camps kind of resented the other for their drug use or lack thereof. So they split up into two bands, Hot Tuna and Jefferson Starship. Jefferson Starship formed in 1974 with Katner and Grace Slick. Marty Balin would later join as well, some other folks, and it was based on essentially a Jefferson Airplane side project of Paul Kantner called Blows Against the Empire, a concept album about people escaping Earth in a hijacked spaceship. Now that went on to win, or no, it didn't win. It was nominated for a Hugo Award. This is the award that, like, you know, Ender's Game won, and a series of like science fiction novels. It's very strange. I was not aware that music was on the table for that.
I love it.
Yeah, Jefferson Starship released a series of very 70s sounding albums in the mid 70s. Dragonfly, Red Octopus, Spitfire, Earth, Freedom at Point Zero, etc. And a bunch of those went platinum, but unfortunately Grace Slick's alcoholism kind of became a problem. She was getting too drunk to go on stage. They had a bunch of German shows that ended up getting rescheduled, and when they finally performed at them, Miss Slick got on stage, cursed at the audience, and then repeatedly screamed at this German audience, "Who won the war? Who won the war?" And then implied that all the Germans were in fact Nazi war criminals, and the rest of the band just kicked her out. They kicked out Grace Slick. So not Jefferson Airplane, who had plenty of good members. Jefferson Starship kicked out Grace Slick. After Miss Slick's departure, the rest of the band continued to make wise decisions, including recording the song Light the Sky on Fire, specifically for the Star Wars Holiday Special.
I was going to say, I've never heard this song before. Now I know why.
Yes,
also, I guess I have heard it
at least
before.
once. Yes.
Yeah, at least once.
Then Marty Balin resigned the band in disgrace. They got a new singer, Mickey Thomas, and continued to release less well-selling music. Eventually, Grace Slick rejoined in 1981, picked back up a little bit, but then this whole thing again starts fracturing, lawsuits start. Katner sued for money and also the name Jefferson Starship. That results in Grace Slick owning 51% of the name, Bill Thompson owning 49% of the name. The band continues as Starship. That's the band we're actually talking about today. We finally made it. Before Grace Slick left in 1988, weirdly, to join the band Jefferson Airplane, which was a thing again, somehow. I don't understand. Because I guess they're doing reunion tours while Starship was a thing. Starship, though, continued ever since 1992 as Starship featuring Mickey Thomas. Overall, though, Starship releases 4 albums, Knee Deep in the Hoopla in 85, which includes the Song of the Week, No Protection in 87, Love Among the Cannibals in 1989, and then Loveless Fascination in 2013. Because all of these weird bands and offshoots of Jefferson Airplane are all still around. They tour, they release greatest hits albums that people still buy, albums of new material that people very much do not buy. None of them have any of the original members in them, mostly because they're all dead, horrible colon cancer-y type things, with the exception of Grace Slick, but she's mostly retired from the music industry since the early 90s. She now paints. So, same career arc as George W. Bush. All of that is to say, this song never really had a chance. This was always going to be insane and weird and exactly what it turned out to be.
Oof, yeah. For so many more reasons that we're going to get into. You're right, Tim. It never stood a chance. Excellent history. I'm actually pretty impressed. You managed to span multiple decades with some level of detail in 15 minutes or less.
Sure. And I think the more impressive part is that apparently 2/3 of those notes were completely unnecessary.
I mean, I could have probably guessed as much, but it's nice to know I was right.
That's fair.
But that brings us to the song itself, Tim. Before we even talk about a single thing with it, we should probably give everyone a little bit of a taste. So here it is, folks. Starships, We Built This City. Well, that's a song.
You have to give it to him, though. This is pure 85, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is the synths. It's the sound of hairspray being applied in the background, the sounds of an infant Tim crying, the sounds of a Garrett working furiously on college application essays. This is the atmosphere that Stranger Things is trying to craft for their non-monstery scenes, for better or worse, but it sucks.
Yeah, and I can get down with all of the elements in this song used to to good effect.
Oh, yeah.
This is, I mean, we're going to get into the lyrics, obviously, but the general theme of the song is, this is a complicated song to pull apart. So let me just dive in and we'll move around.
I think, though, the general theme of the song is vanity.
Vanity and 80s greed. And the like glossy corporatization of music and how it has robbed rock and roll of the soul.
So here's the thing. If they had the sound of this song and that message, that could work really well. If there was an ironic take on it, right? If this was Grace Slick and the remnants of Jefferson Airplane bitching about the music industry and how it has gone wrong, horribly, horribly wrong since, their 1966 beginnings or whatever, and they did this weird glossy thing, it's perfect.
Sure, it would have been a like meta Weird Al mocking style to do, but that's not what's happening here.
No.
This entire song is bemoaning the excesses of the go-go 80s lifestyle and is the quintessential example of it.
Absolutely. Yes.
In every way.
Yeah.
They didn't write the song. It's a song by committee. The original song, and you'll hear the bones of the original song in here. It was about how the LA music scene had become all about money and the record companies had sort of taken it over, and all the closures of the clubs that were open in the early 80s and late 70s that helped launch all of those really cool rock bands. That's what it was supposed to be about. And you'll hear bits of that, but you can hear that like a bunch of executives were like, yeah, but we can't fucking dance to that.
Yeah.
It is the most irritatingly addictive, not addictive. What's the word I want here?
It's an earworm for sure.
Well, yeah, it just gets burrowed into your brain. Every person has heard the chorus to this song. I don't care how old you are or if you claim you haven't. You know the words. It's in there. If you've heard it once, you've heard it 100 times. So listening to this,
actually, that's not true. If you've heard it once, you've heard it 49 to 60 times, depending on which version you listen to, because that's how many times there's an iteration of "We Built This City" in this fucking song.
Is there a shorter version?
There is a slightly shorter version, possibly
Does it
a radio
have
edit.
Maybe the no radio broadcast in the middle?
I think it still includes that.
Oh, that's an interesting choice. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's not the inessential part of it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we have to get into the words, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. We open with the chorus of all places. We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll.
I don't know which city specifically they're talking about. If it was San Francisco, not Starship, not Jefferson Starship, Jefferson Airplane has a little bit of a claim to that throne. Now, again, there's tons of other bands, Sly and the Family Stone, Joplin, CCR, Grateful Dead, Papa Roach, Santana. But it's totally accurate to include Jefferson Airplane in that list.
Sure, but
not Starship.
I would argue,
not Starship.
Well, sure. No, absolutely not. I don't think anybody could dare argue that. But I would also ask, what does it matter? What do you want? What would you like? Because you had a hit record, so I should what?
Well, absolutely. So this is the weird bedrock for this song. We are somebody. Fucking acknowledge us. We're not old. We're not old. We're new. We're hip. And we are
so not
cool. We're with it. And you know what? You should recognize us for what we did in the past, as all those many, many other bands. And you should
also acknowledge how great what we're doing now is.
Exactly.
That's important.
Exactly. And neither of those work.
The song continues, say you don't know me or recognize my face. Say you don't care who goes to that kind of place. Knee deep in the hoopla, sinking in your fight. Too many runaways, eating up the night. There's a lot there.
Yes.
We'll take it line by line. So what does it matter if I recognize you or not? Who are they talking to? The record executives?
I think so. I think it's the, what do you mean we have to audition? Don't you know who we are? It's the guy standing outside the rope at the nightclub just being like, what do you mean I have to wait in line?
You're looking at 26% of Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah.
Then the song continues, say you don't care who goes to that kind of place. I ask, what kind of place? What are we talking about?
I feel like you're going to go somewhere sinister with this, but I think what they're saying
I do have a theory.
Is more of the nightclub kind of thing. You don't care, you're pretending you're above it all.
Okay.
They went in that nightclub.
Knee deep in the hoopla, which is ridiculous. Hoopla? Anyway,
I'll say this. It's
fight.
A good enough line to name your album after.
Yeah, so that album cover, Tim, it's the visual equivalent of this song.
You know what's dumber?
No, I don't.
The single cover, which is the visual equivalent of this song as well. But again, it's very similar to it, just slightly dumber.
It looks like a children's album.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we knee deep in the hoopla. So we're going to assume they're in the mix.
Yeah.
Sinking in your fight. What is that?
I don't know.
Okay. Too many runaways eating up the night. What you got, Tim?
So I think what they're saying with that is that they're bemoaning the fact that they have to be knee deep in the hoopla, right? There's too many of these runaways, these small startup bands, these piece of shit fucking nobodies, Garrett. Nobodies that are getting signed to record labels, that are getting that money, and that's Starship money, Garrett. They have Grace Slick. They've got Marty Balin. Granted, you've never heard of him.
That's Marty effing Balin.
Yeah.
That 43-year-old man there sleeping. Marty, wake up.
Garrett.
We don't want to hear about your Motley Crues.
Garrett.
And your Guns N' Roses. What?
They're older than 43 at this point.
Oh, God.
I know you're aiming higher for emphasis, but you aim too low. I think Grace Slick is 47.
Oh, God, she looks every bit of it. No, that's not an age shame thing. It's you're trying to look way too young, and it's embarrassing for all of us.
Right, which is an age shame thing, and I will not apologize for that one. Mostly because Garrett Harvey said it.
Right, but I don't want to confuse people with saying like, oh, you're old. Well, sure, she's old. That's what happens when you get older. I'm saying like, you need to not dress like you're 22.
Yeah, and it's even more accentuated in 1985 because a 22-year-old dressed like a goddamn maniac.
Good point. So, Tim, I'm going to give you an alternate theory for those lines real quick, just because it fits way better than what's in the song. Say you don't know me or recognize my face. I think that the members of Starship are either participating in, running, or just performing at an underground cage fighting league.
Or possibly orgy. Love it. Go on.
Okay. We'll see how it fits.
They're wearing all those weird eyes wide shut masks. I get it.
Oh, yeah. Bird masks aplenty. Anyway, say you don't care who goes to that kind of place. Could fit in the underground fighting thing. Or your orgy situation. Still with you. Knee deep in the hoopla, sinking in your fight. Now, here's where things differ ever so slightly. Sure, the hoopla could be random anonymous sex with strangers. Sure, but sinking in your fight. That's not fight, Tim.
Yeah, Garrett, I don't know how many orgies you've been to. There's lots of fights.
3? Oh, God.
Were there fights at any of them?
Disagreement, sure.
Any physical altercation at all?
You know, now that you say it, Tim, I might have mistaken a fight for consensual lovemaking.
Right, yes. And I think the problem is because when guys fight, they whip those shirts off, and it's weird.
Well, it was an orgy, Tim. There were no shirts on.
Oh.
Plenty of bird masks.
Okay,
anyway.
You were at a legit orgy. I take it back.
Too many runaways eating up the night, of course. Those runaways are just being chewed up as fodder for the crowd till they get to the main event. So they're out there. I don't know if they're just attending, participating, but it all fit.
Well, I think a lot of times underground cage matches or orgies often begin with an undercard that features, for example, a runaway versus, let's say, a wolf or like one of those hay balers.
Yeah, or like 3 foxes who haven't eaten in a day and a half.
Yeah, well.
Versus a guy in meat pants.
Yeah, all right. I mean, I like your song better than mine.
But they're both great. And hey, who's to say if underground cage fight to the death can't lead to an orgy, right? There's always an after party.
Or vice versa.
Ooh, that would be quite the transition.
Yeah.
I'd like to see how that happens.
It often begins with a hot fire poker, in my experience. Someone just starts waving that around, people freak out.
Next thing you know, you're in a bare knuckle boxing match in a cage underground.
Yep.
All right, well, that's where we get to the dumbest lines of the entire song, perhaps. Marconi plays the mamba. Listen to the radio. Don't you remember? We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. Let's discuss. Well, of course, we all know Marconi is, guy who might have invented the radio?
Yes.
Why do they say mamba?
I think so this is interesting. They say mamba instead of mambo because mambo would make sense and also would rhyme. So they don't say that. You see, it's a
I don't follow.
I think they screwed up. I think they said mamba and they meant to say mambo and it just kind of ruined its whole part.
And this is probably the best time for me to bring up something that I'm shocked I've withheld to this point. I'm pretty sure cocaine is responsible for a lot of this.
Oh yeah, well we'll get into that with the music video, Garrett.
Sure, but I'm very much picturing somebody on the crew being like, mamba, mamba. Hey, say this, mamba. Yeah, let's change it. It should be mamba. We'll say it's mamba, but mamba. All right, I'm gonna do a couple hits and then let's do this thing.
That's definitely what happened. Also, hoopla. God. That's how you get the word hoopla in your song.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I just have all these ideas. It's like a big hoopla going on in my brain. Ooh, write that down. We're making fucking gold records. Starship. God, 80s. I'm sweaty, Tim.
You are sweaty.
Hold on. Someone always playing.
Hold on.
Oh.
Oh, God, so sweaty.
I wish you hadn't have done that. That was an invasion of my personal space.
It was an invasion of my dry skin.
Moving on. Someone always playing corporation games. Who cares? They're always changing corporation names. The Man. I think our first episode featured The Man, and here we are in episode 3, and we're still talking about The Man.
Yeah, this is about fucking Suits. And
fucking Suits.
Also, I think a weird commentary on the fact that all these, like, RCA has 15 different subsidiaries, and if you're going to hire, or if you're going to sign Starship, maybe you don't want to do it on your flagship label, you want to do it on one of those lesser ones so that you can maybe deny responsibility later. I don't really know what the point is other than that.
I would have given them their own imprint and said, hey, make whatever you want. And then it's a goddamn tax write-off, but whatever.
Some of this sold pretty well, Garrett.
Oh, you're right.
This might have been a producer's situation where somebody said, yeah, let's continue this Jefferson Airplane train, and then just took a fucking bath on it and is now in prison.
God damn, Tim. Starship may very well be springtime for Hitler. It's equally as insane on paper, and then when you see it in reality, it somehow makes millions.
And it continues from there. We just want to dance here. Someone stole the stage. They call us irresponsible. Write us off the page. Just let these late middle-aged kids dance. Let them rock. Yeah. What's wrong with you, Suits? Just because Grace Slick was born in 1939 does not mean she's not as young.
That's not accurate, is it?
It's 100% accurate. October 30th, 1939. Just because she was born in 1939 does not mean...
When did the Depression officially end?
1939. The start of World.
Wild.
She was alive for every bit of World War II.
Her parents were alive during slavery, maybe. No, that would be way too old. Her grandparents definitely owned people, though.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. Okay, that makes the music video make so much more sense.
No, she's
I thought they were like
46,
35.
and she just wants to dance, but these young kids stole the stage. Man, there's punk rock happening, Garrett. I don't get that. I don't understand why these people are on stage. Some of these people, they don't even, it's like they don't even know how to play bass. Like, what are they doing? And people are listening to this and not, they're on our stage, Garrett, is what
and they built
might
this
say.
city, for God's sake. Which they remind us of a few hundred times in between the verse Tim just read and the one I'm about to.
I love, though, that they also repeat the Marconi plays the Mamba.
Oh, yeah.
It's in here twice.
Mamba.
I think that's a spot-on theory, by the way. That's definitely how that came to be.
The song shockingly continues. It's just another Sunday in a tired old street. Police have got the chokehold. Oh, and we just lost the beat.
Well, that's aged poorly.
That's shockingly prescient. The only prescient line in the entire song is about police abuse?
Yeah, possibly, but they might be on the pro camp.
Oh.
Right? They want the police to get the kids, these anarchists, Garrett, these punks, get them out of here so that we
Tim, you are
can
describing
rock.
an adorable animated series on MTV or MTV8, the Ocho, whatever the fuck they have now, where all of the bands of the 80s are neighbors. and Starship is calling the police on their rowdy neighbor's black flag for making way too much goddamn noise, and that Henry Rollins is ringing my doorbell, and he's not running away. He's just standing there making firm eye contact and not saying a word.
He's just standing there flexing his neck somehow.
Exactly. But I want to see this show. Flock of Seagulls are around the corner. This writes itself, Tim. Comedy Central, reach out.
Yeah.
I love your idea.
Top line credit.
You will not be getting that. You will be lucky if I don't Facebook you. I'll cut you right out.
Okay. Well, that'd be good. I mean, if you make some money, I'll be happy with that at least.
I hate it when you're gracious.
Oh, no, I'm going to steal from you. I always do.
Oh.
Who counts the money underneath the bar? Who rides the wrecking ball into our guitars? Don't tell us you need us, because we're the ship of fools looking for America coming through your schools.
So this is where you get hints of what the song used to be about. Bar owners counting the money. It's a seedy situation. You don't really know exactly who's being honest. Are you making what you're supposed to be making? That sort of a deal.
Yeah, I feel like it comes off poorly, though, given the rest of this song. It sort of takes on a different air, right? Because, again, they're the big rich rock band. They're the legacy act, essentially. So when you're talking about the bar owner who may or may not be paying them well, it doesn't come off well if you are Starship, if you are some, again, brand new band in 1985. Sure.
Yeah, you have more room to say. So two things there. One, let me address directly what you're saying. I think part of that is the only contribution they made to the content of this song is Mamba. So
maybe Hoopla. So you cannot rule out Hoopla.
Never rule out Hoopla, hashtag Hoopla. Curious. But the other thing now, Tim, I'm reading this and understanding the history of where the song originally began before it was rewritten after it was deemed, quote, a bummer. Not joking. Who counts the money underneath the bar? Who rides the wrecking ball into our guitars? I think the club owners are being paid off to allow commercial development in these old bars where they came up.
Sure.
So basically it's a whole, how dare you tear down that treehouse in my old front yard? Well, do you live here? No. Well, then shut the fuck up and go live in your mansion, you asshole.
Yeah.
Still the same conclusion, but I do think it was meant to mean something different.
Sure. Yeah, I agree completely. I don't understand the looking for America coming through your schools bit.
I believe they're saying that they're looking to the youth of tomorrow to rectify these situations.
Okay, so 1985 doesn't appreciate Starship, but like 2012 will.
Ooh.
97. Okay.
Yeah. Somewhere in there. Well, yeah, because grunge is taking off. So, like, when did Sugar Ray become a thing?
97.
There it is. Nailed it, Tim. Well done. Are you lying?
I don't know. I didn't look it up. I'm guessing.
There's a difference. So then, for no reason whatsoever, we get a radio broadcast. Well, fake radio broadcast. San Francisco. Do you remember who did it?
No, I don't. But I do know that there's some versions of this, when radio stations would play this in other cities, sometimes would replace this part with, like, stuff that was relevant to, Cleveland or Santa Monica or Iowa City.
Iowa City? Wetumna. Meth capital of the 90s. Anyway, so there's this fake radio broadcast done by a famous San Francisco radio jockey that neither of us bothered to write down because who could care? But I was utterly shocked, Tim. I've heard this song before, and for $1 million, is there a fake radio broadcast in the middle of Starship's We Built This City before this week? Absolutely not. What are you saying? But there it is.
Yeah.
He says, I'm looking out over the Golden Gate Bridge on another gorgeous sunny Saturday, and I'm seeing that bumper-to-bumper traffic. Don't you remember? Remember? It's your favorite radio station in your favorite radio city. The city by the bay. The city that rocks. The city that never sleeps, which is not what San Francisco is. That's Cleveland and what? New York?
New York, yeah.
Yeah, but whatever. I wrote no notes about that other than just what's happening.
Yeah, man, I think, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's stupid. We built this city on rock and roll. Oh, I'm sorry. Marconi Plays the Mamba is said a third time after that.
Of course it is.
I didn't and then do we get an outro F on Mamba.
Mamba. Is anybody else's gums tingling? Mamba. It's a good one. Hey, Grace. I'm right here. Oh, hey. Mamba. Anyway. Then we get an outro that is curiously similar to the pre-chorus and chorus that preceded it 800 times, and we're graciously done with the entire song, right?
Yes, but there is a video.
Thank fucking God there's a music video.
Let's start with everyone's appearance, because this should be mentioned. Every single person, male or female, looks like Sigourney Weaver possessed by Zool in the third best Ghostbusters film. It's ridiculous.
I'll fucking kill you.
Soon to be fourth best.
What? It's the best, Tim. The first one is the best.
There's another one coming out this year.
Right.
It's called Afterlife. Ghostbusters Afterlife. And it's got that guy from Stranger Things in it.
So the fuck what?
Just saying, it might be better.
Yeah. So I would argue, Tim, that there is a wide gamut of enthusiasm across the band in this music video.
Yeah.
Mickey, what's his face? What's his name?
Mickey Thomas, I think, is the second
singer?
lead.
Yeah. Well,
or
depends on how you want to frame.
Yeah.
He starts us off. He's into it, man. He's in full Carlton dance mode or 80s white guy dance mode, just back to back, snapping fingers, side to side, arms close, bounce on those hips.
Yeah, because you have to understand, Garrett. The rest of these people were in at least Jefferson's Starship.
Oh boy.
But this is Mickey Thomas's thing. Like Grace Slick, Garrett, she was there at Monterey. She busts into Somebody to Love. They play The Other Side of This Life, and the cameraman can't take his eyes off of her at Monterey, Garrett. Hendrix is about to have his American debut. She had that. Mickey Thomas didn't have that. This is his Monterey.
Oh no. I mean, he goes for it. I'll give him that. If you're going to listen to this song, go watch the video. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
but
it's glorious.
Mickey Thomas, super into it. Grace Slick, to her credit, maybe too into it. The rest of the band looks dead inside.
Yeah. So this begins with this fake background village thing, and members of the band start fading in before we get this tour of different cities around the U.S. And it's also the most cliched aspects of each. It's the famous landmarks. This is the thing that Roland Emmerich would destroy in each one of these cities if he could.
Right, and has. But then out of nowhere, it's no longer like in a city. They just kind of get this weird space screensaver that it's probably one of the presets on the green screen they literally got just today.
Yes.
But it's like dusk or space in the desert. They're singing as amorphous heads. They sort of look like statues. And then out of nowhere, Mickey's like, oh, what's over there? And they're at the Lincoln Memorial.
Yeah, and this seems so out of place because they've cut to the Lincoln Memorial, they cut to the band, they cut back to the Lincoln Memorial, they cut back to the band. Why do they keep showing the Lincoln Memorial, Garrett?
Yeah, it's not clear, Tim. And at this point, Tim, I want to say one little thing before I think we're going to turn a big corner. If I were to rate this music video on a scale of 1 to 10 from this up to this moment, we're at like a 2.5 or a 3.
Sure, absolutely.
Very unimpressed. Mickey's dancing his poor little feet off, and that's great. And but the rest of the band looks like they're at gunpoint.
Right, and it looks like garbage so far. It's terrible graphics. There's that kind of halo around people that have been like digitally inserted into these shots. It looks like
they all look like Force ghosts.
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous.
It's got that thing like when you do a Zoom call and you have you decide to have a fancy background, but the Zoom presentation also requires you to move your arms around a lot and pound on the desk and during your speech, and limbs just start disappearing for seconds. That's what this whole thing is up until this point. But then, Garrett, the band gathers around the Lincoln Memorial and they begin, you get a shot initially from Lincoln's face, I believe. They begin singing directly to Lincoln for some reason.
They do. They are letting him know they helped build this city, the District of Columbia. With rock and roll, presumably. And Tim, do you want to take it or do you want me to have it?
Well, let me say the line that the band gives, and then you do what feels right, okay? The band looks at the Lincoln Memorial and says, we built this city. And then what happens?
Well then, Tim, out of nowhere, right after the band says, we built this city, Mr. Abraham motherfucking Lincoln, A.B. Links himself.
Well, not himself, the statue of Abraham Lincoln.
That is a good point. That's a good point. The entire memorial stands up and with a triumphant fist, a la the end of the Breakfast Club, gives it a good rock and roll.
I have to admit something, Garrett.
What's that?
Every time I saw this, I knocked my chair over because I stood up and cheered.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck
Tim,
yeah.
It's instinctive. I don't know if it's a patriotic thing or a history thing or just downright insane. But when that motherfucking statue throws his arm in the air like Judd Nelson at the end of Breakfast Club, it filled me with a joy I didn't think I still had a capacity for.
Yeah, we've been talking about how bad this song is. For that one 4-second stretch, it works completely. Garrett, because he did build that city on rock and roll. That's what Abraham Lincoln did. He is the one. If they'd all dressed up as Abraham Lincolns, it's accurate.
Or various presidents.
Yeah, or various presidents, but I'm less into that, going to be honest.
Oh, I'm so into that. All these presidents dressed in periodic garb from Lincoln all the way up through George W. And they, well, I guess 1985 or whatever. So
yeah,
through Reagan. We built this city on line.
But then almost as good as him standing up and triumphantly singing rock and roll, then Lincoln's just sitting there motionless, and everyone's just kind of staring at him like they're unsure if this was a weird remnant of the good drugs they were doing when they were a good band. And they all have this look on their faces like no one wants to be the first one to ask if anyone else saw the statue move. And it's a really really weird decision.
And it comes to nothing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because then they go to other cities. Like, there's a Vegas scene where there's like a rolling die in the background, like Indiana Jones escaping a boulder, and they all like do this piss poor
Run
like
from it in place.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great. And then we get to the first of many close-ups of Grace Slick. And she looks, I'm going to put this as politely as I can, mildly insane.
She looks possessed by Zool.
She does look possessed by Zool. And it is, God, that is very specific and accurate.
And also, though, so does Mickey Thomas. If you,
God, he looks amazing. He's just dancing his little feet off. He's just trying so hard to make this cool.
This is like, you have to understand, Garrett, he had I don't know this for a fact. He probably had children at this point that were old. I mean, because again, he's like a 45-year-old man that were old enough to just be like, God damn it, I'm in college. This motherfucker is just dancing like an asshole. I'm in business school. My friends
can see this.
Yeah. God damn it.
Yeah, it's great. Let's see. We get the people running from the dice down the strip, more singing in front of a scrolling tape of the Vegas skyline. Then we get the radio broadcast, has some shots of San Francisco and the Golden Gate Bridge. Then, Tim, we get our baby on board moment. The band is playing an unbuilt skyscraper for a gathering crowd, while the city of Los Angeles is built up around them.
Yep.
It was the finest digital graphics available to 1985 when half of the budget was accidentally used for cocaine.
Yes.
And that brings us to how did it do?
Well, Garrett, this hit number 1 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100, as well as the Australian, Canadian, and South African charts. It hit number 21 on the U3 Austria Top 40, number 17 on the Belgian Ultra Top 50 Flanders, number 11 in New Zealand, number 4 on the Swedish Sverige-topplisten, number 8 on the Schweizer Hit Parade, number 12 in the UK, and number 21 inside of a single Dutchman. It was the 14th best-selling song of 1985 and the 442nd best-selling song of 1958 to 2018, according to the Billboard Hot 100, if that's to be believed. But somehow it was only certified gold in the US. I believe it was platinum in the UK, and was nominated but did not win a Grammy.
Wow, that is too weird time.
Too good for what this was. Even if it's a joke, if you're trying to, like, let's all buy this album to increase the cultural awareness of this so that this can never happen again, never forget. Still.
That's vaguely this week's 9/11 reference.
Oh, I was going more for a Holocaust. This is a Holocaust of a song.
God damn it, Tim. Okay, what did people think of it?
Well, critics and the general population has not been kind. GQ certified this as the quote-unquote worst song of all time, saying it is the most detested song in human history, which I don't think is accurate, but it is not good. Rolling Stone readers voted it the worst song of the 80s with what was apparently a very large margin. It beat Europe's The Final Countdown, Lady in Red, Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, Safety Dance, Mickey, I'm Never Gonna Give You Up, and a bunch of other songs I didn't write down.
I like all those songs.
I'm sure you do. Robert Christgau did not review this specifically, but he did give their 1991 Greatest Hits collection a tiny bomb icon, so I don't think he's a fan.
Or loves it.
It's unclear.
I take real issue with Men Without Hats, Safety Dance. Who in the world doesn't love that song?
I don't know.
Listeners, write in, hatePodMail@gmail.com. Are you an idiot? Just title it, I'm an idiot. I don't like that song.
That's fair. There are 125 total ratings on Amazon, 4.7 out of 5 stars on average, 82% 5-star, 1% 1-star. Prison Librarian titled his or her review, Better Than Beethoven, from 2014. I watched both seasons of the series Evolution Revolution, a science fiction dystopia. In it, the electronic nanorobots want to know what it's like to be human, so they take over the mind of a very nice woman. They ask the husband to find some music so they can experience it. The only song he can find is this one, We Built This City with Rock and Roll. The nanobots love it and listen to it for a couple of episodes. It gave me a new appreciation for the song. The husband was flabbergasted he could not find any Beethoven. It was a fun moment, 5 out of 5 stars.
Have you ever heard of these shows?
No,
These are made-up shows.
I haven't heard of any of these.
These
Evolution, Revolution, Beethoven, bullshit.
Okay.
Andrew Bushard said, I don't care what anyone says, I like this song. I've heard it over and over how this song is supposed to be the worst song ever, but I find this song catchy. I love the video. I like deep songs as much as the next guy, but why does every song have to be deep? This song is the first rock song I remember hearing as a kid when I was 7 or 8. This song rocks. 5 out of 5 stars.
It does not rock.
Lamar D. Ramel titled his or her review Slick's Redemption, which is not true.
No.
Even though Gracie's voice was mature by this time, this song allowed those who did not think a good time was going bonkers from massive infusion of LSD to enjoy her music. Kind of like Willie Sutton finally leaving his primary occupation for the one advertising ATM machines to access cash from banks rather than other less honorable means. 5 out of 5 stars.
What?
He was a very
What's that about
famous, very famous bank robber.
Whoa.
Was on the lam for like 40 years, Garrett. Willie Sutton, born in 1901, died in 1980.
I'm sorry. Listen, I'm going to admit something. Occasionally from time to time, I zone out when you talk. And
I apologize. I was reading a review about a bank robber and how it was like this song.
Okay. Then it's, you know what? We're both to blame here. I should pay more attention, and I don't know what you're doing, but stop it.
Fair enough.
Any other idiots waste time writing stuff about this for nobody?
Nope.
Great. Then that brings us to, who is this for?
Party people and record suits.
Well put, Tim. God, you really nail it sometimes. That is right. Party people and suits. That doesn't make any sense. It's for partying suits.
Oh, it's
They
for
love
cocaine.
cocaine.
Yeah.
Right. There we go. Okay. Well done. Incisive thoughts. Who says you need to know anything about music to have a music podcast? Not these two.
A lot of our listeners, they've been writing in.
Yeah, that makes me laugh. You're misguided.
It hurts.
Anyway.
It hurts me.
Well, that's weird. Anyways, Timmy, what have we not said about this that we need to get out before we ask the big question?
I love Lincoln. And I think that the movie Lincoln missed a huge opportunity to not just be this.
I'll be honest, Tim. I walked right out of the theater when I learned that it wasn't about an anthropomorphized Abraham Lincoln statue. I thought that baby came to life and had an adventure. Maybe got a job.
Absolutely. Maybe crushed some people. Maybe fought like a kaiju in that baby from Honey, We Blew Up the Kids.
Sure. I'll watch Lincoln fight a baby.
Now.
You're using a lot of words I don't fully know, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm gonna yes-and the shit out of this. I'll watch a statue Lincoln fight a giant baby.
Yeah, or
that's your worst idea.
Like a Godzilla or a King Kong. That's what a kaiju is.
Okay.
You know.
I see.
Yeah. But not 1998's Godzilla. That is a whole different thing that should remain in and of itself. This Lincoln would probably fight that thick Godzilla, the new ones.
Oh, yeah. He is thick.
Yeah.
He's all tail.
Yeah. Garrett, do you hate this song?
Yes. I still very much do.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It's crazy. I really thought I was indifferent / maybe liked it. But no, it's quite the opposite. Don't listen to this song. Timmy, what about you? Do you hate this song? Did we get you
I think so, yeah. Here's the thing. It's well, now I kind of like it. I love the Lincoln. The Lincoln thing is great. That was a fantastic idea. Whatever coked up band member came up with that is a fucking genius. They pulled off a song that really encapsulated 1985, which was garbage. And they completely missed the irony of what they were doing. Yeah, I think this sucks. I hate it. I'm good with that.
That brings us to listener mail. Do you want to go first or do you want me to?
And you should go first this week, Garrett, because I think that we probably have copied down several of the same emails.
Yeah, we've been getting some good stuff this week, but I pulled a Tim this week, and my email is not an email at all.
Oh.
I've been monitoring your correspondence with people on YouTube.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I know what this is. Oh, God. Was this the one that I was pretending to be you? Or at least implying that I might be you?
Oh. Uh-oh. We'll see. You know me. I only read the first 2 sentences and then I stop. So this will be a fun exercise. I might be swatting the shit out of your face later. So one of you excellent listeners wrote in on YouTube, which you can follow us on YouTube. I mean, I don't know why you would, but please do. That sounds fun. But a listener wrote in. This is their preferred way to get the show. They're named Alama, and there's a picture of llama there. They said, I would like to point out that during Tim's 2-week absence, the entirety of Afghanistan was overrun by the Taliban. I'm not saying he had anything to do with it, of course, but given his well-established origins in the Middle East, I just thought it was an interesting coincidence. And then she gives a thinky face emoji. Interesting. So then Tim, you replied. This is where I am now flying blind, but you felt it necessary, so thought it would be fun to read. You said, well, oh God, you're being me. Oh God, you're being me. God damn it. We talked about this. Oh, well, this has gotten doubly fun. I'm going to swat you about the face, good and plenty. The correspondence continues, as me. Well, he was allegedly drugged and walled up and therefore unable to participate in any foreign occupation? Or do you think that that's the problem? Perhaps Tim was solely responsible for preventing the Taliban rule, and his alleged incapacitation, love the alleged, incapacitation gave them the window of opportunity. Probably not, but maybe. Is Garrett responsible for Afghanistan? Definitely. He has been for just shy of 20. Okay, well, that's fascinating for two reasons. One, I am not responsible for Afghanistan. You can trace that back to, well, the formation of that as a country, but we don't have time to get into tribes. What we are going to talk about, though, is how you managed to not even continue to impersonate me through an entire correspondence.
I forgot what I was doing.
You forgot what you were doing, and you gave up the ghost. Fantastic.
Maybe it was Gino. Maybe Gino wrote that. No, it's too well.
No, this is definitely you, because you, Tim, we're not going to edit out the part where you screamed, "Oh no, is this the email where I responded as you?" Because it is. A llama response. I was thinking more along the lines of this being an elaborate cover-up to hide any potential ties to opposition groups in the Middle East. Judging by past 1 week long Timscapades, that's tough. It seems that Tim is capable of covering a vast amount of ground in a terrifyingly short amount of time. God damn it, you're like some sort of creature. So I can only imagine what he could do with 2 weeks. Afghanistan is also well known for their beautiful rugs. That might be the perfect disguise to smuggle an insurgent back into the country undetected, which could also explain him waking up in said rug or carpet. Wow, I love this. Of course, you also bring up a very good point. Would the knowledge that an incapacitated, walled-up Tim Burrito wouldn't be able to stop their devious plans embolden the Taliban? Probably. This is so crazy. I'm not sure which story to believe personally, but one thing is for sure. Whether he was the enabler or the disabler, it was definitely Garrett's fault that this happened. Wow. A llama? I take back the nice things I said. No, you know what? I can't do that. I love this thing. This is a great comment. It's brought me a lot of joy. It's pointed out that Tim is impersonating me online again, and we're going to talk about that with some slaps.
If nothing else, I will confirm one thing. I am involved in Afghanistan.
Okay. I am not. No comment. Tim, what email do you have this week?
I have one from This says,
okay.
Dearest Garrett A. Harvey and Timothy Richardson. Hello, I am a longtime listener, and I would like to let you know how much I enjoy your show. Each week, I look forward to you tearing into a new album and the hilarious antics that come with. That being said, I have a few issues with your Pinkerton review. Being a female Korean who is less than half his age, I would argue that I have better insight on Rivers than any other would. Not that I know Rivers, I don't know Rivers. If I, hypothetically, were locked in a jar in his basement, which I am not, I can assure you that these jars would be of top quality. Not that these jars actually exist, because they don't. Rivers has asked me to let you know that these hypothetical jars, if they were to exist, would contain plenty of space for his Asians of choice to roam. These jars are a part... These jars are approximately 5 feet in diameter and 6 feet tall. I can't quite lie down in these jars because I am taller than 5 feet, but it is nice to be able to almost lie down at night. Not that I would be able to sleep anyways, though I am constantly surrounded by his fresh, screaming prey.
Oh my God, these jars sound very real, Tim.
We are treated well here. He has even taught himself how to work a rice maker so that he may feed us our, and I'm quoting here, native food. Don't worry though, our diet is not solely made up of rice. Rivers makes sure to constantly remind us that, and I quote, if you're all good little butterflies, I'll let you try some of Daddy's American food. This is, of course, entirely hypothetical and not actually true because I am not in one of Rivers' jars and I am not being held hostage by Rivers. Now, if for whatever reason I hypothetically did know Rivers and he hypothetically did listen to your entire Pinkerton episode, all while using his least favorite of us as a punching bag to relieve his anger, that doesn't sound like Rivers. He's a weak man. Rivers has been very, very emotional about this episode, and I've even witnessed him express what for him could be most closely described as regret. Once again, this is entirely hypothetical because I do not know Rivers and I am not being held in one of his jars at this very moment. Love your show. Bye.
Love that.
I think we should bleep the name here. So I apologize for not giving you full credit for this email, but for your safety, because I do believe you are being held by Rivers Cuomo at this very moment, your name has been bleeped.
Why'd you say it again? That's the second place we got to bleep it.
I'm just going to bleep it. It's fine.
Wow.
I might forget to bleep one of them.
Awesome.
I'm so sorry.
Great email, Tim. Definitely sounds like that poor girl has been trapped and is a butterfly in the house of Weezer. That brings us to music news of the weird. Would you like to go first or would you like me to?
Well, since you muscled your way in on the emails, I'd like to go first on the news of the weird.
Your choice, but okay.
Music news of the weird.
In 2021 is the year that things will go well for everyone, even the worst among us news. Morgan Wallen is back, Garrett. He's back on the radio. His sales have only increased since he was canceled by the liberal media, but his new single, Sand in My Boots, is back on country radio after a 7-month ban after he, quote-unquote, playfully dropped some N-bombs.
Playfully?
Yeah, playfully, like a kitten with string. Playfully. Anyway, his album Dangerous, the double album, has spent the past 28 weeks at the top of the Billboard country charts, despite his use of racist language and also not being very good at making country music, and is the single most popular album in the US from January 1st to July 1st, 2021, a time period in which, and again, this is in 2021, it sold 2,108,000 album equivalent units. Garrett, people like him more now.
That's, I think we confirmed this not too long ago, Tim. People largely pro-racism. Yeah,
interesting.
Not the listeners of this show, but that's not true. There is like a 5%.
Yeah. We courted that, though. I courted that. It's my fault. I apologize.
Speaking of mild catastrophes, I was pleased to see a number of the people that have been protesting us for a number of days to just packed up and went home.
Yeah.
Did you do anything? Was that...
I didn't personally do anything.
Okay, stop answering. Just stop answering. Oh my God. Similar to what happened in Afghanistan. Again, do not answer. Wow.
Exactly. Garrett, what other news have you for us this week, this fine week, this bye week?
God damn it. This bye week? The alleged longstanding feud between Kanye and Drake is heating back up, Tim. Have you heard about this?
I have. Yeah.
So Drake had dropped a new song recently where he calls Ye, quote, burned out, and Kanye responded with an ominous post of a group chat, including longtime rival Pusha T, who had a photo of Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker with the text below, quote, I live for this shit. Not satisfied, Yeezy then later upped the ante by posting the general location of Drake's Ontario home on Instagram.
Yes, he also posted, you will never recover, I promise you.
Yeah, that was said. Now, all of these posts were later deleted, but it's the internet, so shit's not going anywhere. And this could all be a very real feud. It could also just be a little bit of shit talking leading up to the fact that they both know that their albums are going to be out around the same time and they constantly are fighting for that number one spot. Or there's the entirely more likely outcome that this is all a highly orchestrated attempt to generate media attention for both camps, and they're actually both really good friends.
Yes, or it's billionaires with at least one of them having mental health issues, just following that train.
Oh yeah, I forgot. There is the true, honest to goodness, and if there's one thing that, let's be sure to compliment Kanye West. He is a lot of things to a lot of people. He is, these days, among most, a wild card. So if you're going to interact with that dude, just expect him to maybe post your address online for a little bit.
Yep.
That's got to be illegal, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
I mean, at least he didn't have a SWAT team go to his house.
God damn, not cool. So
I guess he's in Canada, so it's probably less of a issue, but...
Yeah, I don't know. Listeners, don't write in. So we'll see, Tim. I know Drake's dropping a new album here fairly soon. I will hopefully not listen to that one either. But Kanye's Donda is imminent to be released any moment, any day. It's probably released by the time we release this. Kanye beat us. I will have listened to it. I'm very curious, because the last one was not good. Anyway, Tim, what other news you got?
Well, Garrett, in semi-related Drake news, Drake is an excellent, if slightly nervous host, and I had a lovely time. Thank you for your hospitality, Mr. Aubrey Drake Graham, who I have discovered is more than a year younger than me.
Did you hang out with Drake?
Got his address off the internet.
I was about to be really hurt that I wasn't invited, but I'm super glad I was not made a party.
Yes. Wow. In other news, though, Garrett, in 6699 news, a man by the name of Timothy Leaks, also known as Lol Tim, has hit the studio with Mr. 99, either performing on a track with him or maybe just appearing in a music video with him. Now, if the name Lol Tim sounds familiar from places that aren't this show, you may know this particular Lol Tim as the guy who is accused of murdering King Von in November 2020 outside of the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta, an incident in which Lol Tim was also shot and then was filmed at the studio with Mr. 99 while out on bail. And not wanting to be caught up in controversy, Lol Tim issued a statement denying he has anything to do with 6699 because working with 66 is allegedly worse than allegedly murdering someone, allegedly.
Jesus Christ. Also, there's video of the two of them together. Like, there's a video. You can see them together.
Yeah, well, I think there's also a video of him allegedly in a gunfight, but he's denying that as well.
Yeah, I want to really mind our P's and Q's here. This guy does not fuck around. Also, I want to make really clear that to our listeners and viewers, some of you have found the feed. Find the feed. This is not Lol Tim. It's Lol Tim. L-U-L.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not
right.
our show's Lol Tim.
Right. Yes, that has many more U's and L's in it.
Right.
Lol.
It's like it's spelled exactly like a chaise lounge. Yeah,
I like it. Yeah. Anyway, Tim. But yeah, he's on my side though because he's a Tim, and so he's part of a
fraternity of Tims.
Yeah,
the F of T's. God. Stupid.
Let's not call it that. What other news do you have, Garrett? Is it Tim related news? I'll be happy if it is.
Okay, well it isn't, and I'm happy that you're not. So. My next news story, Tim, is about friends of the show, Insane Clown Posse.
Oh, this is sad.
Yeah, they recently made a heartfelt announcement on stage at this year's Gathering of the Juggalos, or Gathering of the Jays, as Tim calls it. Definitely wouldn't call it that, Tim, but whatever. It's your words. Revealing that Violent J has been suffering from heart failure. As a result, ICP will embark on a farewell tour next year, though the duo do plan to continue one-off shows. Apparently, after experiencing shortness of breath while walking to and fro the studio, roughly 40 feet, Jay went to the hospital where he learned the bad news. After multiple procedures, he continued to suffer from atrial fibrillation, which is where your upper and lower chambers beat out of sync, and it's not great.
Now, let me ask you this. Is this Joe Utz or Joe Brew?
I don't know, man. You've made it so impossible for me to tell them apart. It was already confusing because they had 2 names each, but you added names. You added names, and you made it 3 names each, and they're nonsense.
Here's the thing. I added names that if we just used my names only, we wouldn't have to worry about this.
But nobody else uses those names. So then when I read articles for the show, doing research about music, I don't know who's who, because you use names that are different than all the other people.
Yes.
Brilliant defense. Anyway, the band will conduct a worldwide tour next year as a farewell, but not all is lost. Sticking with a theme that's been long held by the Juggalos, they do not know the word farewell. They will continue to play, quote, every Juggalo weekend, every Hallow Wicked, every fucking Big Ballers Christmas party, every event. We're going to do a show sometimes every month, somewhere every month. 1 month a show is our plan. I want to make it clear, making music is not affected in any way, shape, or form by anything going on with Shaggy or myself health-wise, end quote, which made me question, what's wrong with Shaggy?
That's fair.
I think it's the arm. That does remain broken, I think.
That's true. If he's the chubby one, also heart failure. If he's the skinny one, hepatitis?
Oh my God.
No. Both have hepatitis.
No.
Allegedly.
Okay, you're going to get
antibodies. They have antibodies against hepatitis, meaning they had it in the past, and maybe it's a fulminant infection. I don't know. Allegedly.
Fair. Right, there it is. Nailed it. What other news you got, Tim?
Let's see. Troil is a hero. Bob Dylan is getting sued for sexual abuse, but probably didn't. I think I'm good.
All right, let me wrap up with one more then. Ooh, and the last one's I got 2 more, but you'll see. They're quick. The first one is good friend of the show, Lil Nas X, early supporters here on the Why I Hate This Album podcast. It has been unveiled that he will be the new, get ready for it, Tim, the new Chief Impact Officer at fast food chain Taco Bell. A new relationship that will play out with a menu of activities, get it, collaborations, and a company-wide push for forces on, quote, an exclusive experience around the upcoming release of the rapper's new album, as well as multiple, quote, menu innovations. Now, it is not all soulless endless corporate takeovers, Tim. Don't worry, Nas X will also be teaming with the Taco Bell Foundation to recognize and reward young creative individuals via the Liv Moss Scholarship.
I'm pretty sure this is what Starship was railing against all those years ago.
We didn't listen. We did not listen to Lincoln. That's why we fought the Civil War, to keep corporations from making Lil Nas X sell us burritos.
Yes. I want to see Lil Nas X eat Taco Bell. Like, I want to see him eat. It doesn't all have to be all at the same time, but I want a video of him eating every menu item because bullshit.
Well, he used to work there, Tim.
Oh.
Yeah, like there was a whole press
then
release.
Double bullshit, because I don't know if you've ever worked at a Taco Bell for 6 years. You don't want to ever eat that food again. Like, you'll take their money because they owe you a lot of money because working there is not fun, but you don't want to eat that food. I want to see that video.
All right, let's have a fun, real quick, fast food employment bracket. Let's knock out the top 5 worst. Long John Silver's.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely in there. I would say Long John Silver's, Taco Bell.
Yep.
Sonic, if you're one of the roller girls.
Right.
It's degrading.
It is, isn't it? Although, if given the choice, Tim, as a waiter, to not wear roller skates or to wear roller skates, what are you picking?
Well, I don't know if you've ever held a large tray while on roller skates, but that gets slippery quick.
Sure. Well, I am known for my impeccable balance and roller skating skills, if nothing else. So,
okay.
Not a problem for me.
The answer to mine is no.
Okay.
I don't want to do that.
All right. I like that one. So we got Sonic, Taco Bell, Long John Silver's / A&W root beer. They're the same.
Really?
Yes.
I've seen freestanding A&Ws.
Yeah, oh yeah, they exist.
And they're delicious. Those are awesome, by the way. If you can find a freestanding one, you don't want to go to a combo, though, because everything tastes like Long John Silver's. They use the same grease.
Yeah, you can't take the catfish out of the grease once it's been put in. What are we up to 4? Is that
That's
3? That's 3. Okay, 2 more. What are we forgetting?
All right, well, let me ask you this. In this scenario,
No. You're working the register and the fryers.
Okay, well, I want to be Lil Nas X for my next example. Chick-fil-A. If you're Lil Nas X, you don't want to work at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's true. That's honorable mention.
You get Sundays off, but there's some trade-offs.
Here's a challenge. Do we allow Golden Corral in this list? I say yes.
If so, then they're the obvious winner.
Well, sure. That's the worst place to work because you're dealing with a bunch of people. Well, yeah. God, I think the last time I ate there was probably with you.
That sounds right.
Ugh. So it's still a 4. Who are we forgetting? God, there used to be this knockoff Golden Corral north of Austin called Sirloin Stampede.
I will eat there with you tomorrow.
It's the sickest I've ever gotten, the fastest I've ever gotten.
Then I'm going to throw one in just for you. Genghis Grill.
There it is. Boom. Worst food poisoning I ever got.
Mm-hmm. Pooped the bathroom floor.
Allegedly. Yeah, let's end on that one, Tim. That brings us to my favorite part of the show where we're going to let people know, folks, get out your pens and pads of paper. We're going to talk about what album we're going to be listening to for an entire week. Tim, what is it? What is the album next week?
Next week, we are going to be listening to 2000's Three Doors Down, The Better Life. It's the one with Kryptonite on it.
What do you think, Timmy? You're going to know at least one of these songs. I'm going to guess 2.
I think I'm going to know 2. I cannot in my head picture what the song Loser is, but I'm 100% sure I've heard it 1,000 times on 94.5 The Buzz or possibly 107.5 The Buzz because they traded radio stations with the oldies.
Weird. Yeah, this came out my junior year of high school. I didn't own it, though. I definitely heard the shit out of it, though.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not true. I'll save it for next week, but I did end up with a copy of this album.
Recently, huh?
No. What?
Oh, Garrett, check your White Album, both sides.
I'm gonna murder you.
You own 2 copies of this.
Where's the White Album? Where's my original copy of the White Album? Where are all the inserts with the photos of their faces?
That's the end of the show, folks.
I really hate you. What did you didn't have to where are they, though? I get the joke. Good joke. Great joke. I'm laughing a ton. Where's the albums, though? Where are the records? What'd you do with them?
Don't worry.
I'm really worried.
I know. You're super worried. Let's end the show, though.
I don't feel like I can. I feel like a lot of our listeners have a real issue with closure here. Let's wrap up this loose end. What did you do with my records? Because if they're gone, Tim, that's one thing, and I'm just going to kill you. I'm just going to murder you.
All right. Well, let me assure you, Garrett, they're not gone. I will have them back for you next week.
Great. You know what? That's reasonable. Good joke, buddy. I'm laughing hard. Huge smiles.
Yep.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. Tim's going to be here next week. That's great news. If you can, folks, and you want to help us out, please, for the love of God, we don't ask for anything. Just open up the little iPod app, little iPod podcast app, hit the 5 stars. Then you can just write the weirdest, most inside, odd business you want, and we'll read it on the show. Or you can just say, I don't have time to write anything. Here's your 5 stars. Leave me alone. And if you've already done it, huge thank you. And if you've not done it twice, what are you waiting for? That's all we want. You can also reach out to us by going to hatepod.com, and there's a contact us in the upper left-hand corner that does ask for an email, but that's just so we can reply to you. You could put in a fake one, but don't. We just want to reply to you. And if it gets bounced back, we'll get sad, and I have to explain to Tim what happened, and he doesn't believe me, and he thinks it's a whole Illuminati thing. So please, you can also just email us directly at hatePodMail@gmail.com, and that's the simplest thing to do. So do that, and we want to hear from you. Reviews of the show, things you like, things you don't like, albums you want us to talk about, songs you think we should talk about, weird stories that are somehow tangentially related, conspiracy theories about how Tim may or may not have been responsible for the fall of Afghanistan. All of this is up for grabs, folks, and we want to hear it. We also want to get more drawings. We have not gotten art from the show in a bit, and we are feeling left out. So if you're an artist out there, we'll send you, you can find us, Tim, bit of an invisible face. But
you can find us on OnlyFans, who is no longer posting sexual content.
Feeling a lot better about us being on OnlyFans, gotta be honest.
I don't, because they're not going to be a thing anymore.
Yeah, that does seem like a weird
sort of
choice,
their
right?
Business yeah.
Anyway, you can also find us on Instagram. We're at HatePod. We're on Twitter at Album HatePod. I'm G Harvey Tweets on Twitter. And hey, reach out. We can have a weird conversation about music or some other thing. We're also got a Discord server. I don't know how to join it, but, figure it out. I'm sure there's a way to do that. We've got subreddits if you're into that whole thing. What have I forgotten, Tim?
I think that's about it.
Yeah, we're on Facebook, but we don't know how to log in, and we're not going to try to figure it out because who cares? So don't bother. All right, for Why I Hate This Album, I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been and will continue to be your other host, Timothy P. Richardson, and on January 23rd, 2016, Garrett P. Harvey woke up screaming, "The sleeping dragon wakes," at exactly 1:03 a.m. He has done this every night since. That is 2,054 nights that I have woken up to Gary screaming, "The sleeping dragon wakes." Who's the dragon, Gary? Is it you? Is it you waking up? It's not a commentary on China again, is it?
No, it has nothing to do with China. China.
All right.
There's cowboys running through my dreams. Nothing's quite the way it seems. I joined the Navy, got kicked out in a week. My facial features aren't distinct. Try to find some meaning in these songs. The genius is a genius, got it wrong. No, it's a lobster murder sex thing. It's the bleaching of the rear. A full assault on both your ears. The riffs are too repetitive. The lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides. The cover art's a mess. Listen to it for a week. Now that week has passed. It's the Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
I strangled them all, of course.